Here we go. Ever since I was a small girl, I've always been interested in observing people's behavior, especially behavior that involved using a different language, a language other than your native language. So, I really like to observe how people behave. I really like to see what non-verbal signals they send, what they do, what their pitch of the voice is, how they operate, how they manipulate the intonation, how complex is the grammar they use, what range of vocabulary they use. And then I started to realize that different people withdraw to different degrees, and other people actually take the initiative into talking. And I came to some conclusions about using a language. I understood that actually using a language is not operating within vocabulary lexis and gluing this lexis with some grammar rules. It's just behaving within some multi-dimensional system that actually has many different layers, and these layers I would like to discuss. But the layers are not about blacks and whites, they are just all about different shades of grey, maybe even 50. Okay, the first layer is the sound one. So, how many of you have ever felt embarrassed or ashamed or puzzled by their own pronunciation in a foreign language? Raise your hand. Does this actually restrict you in any way? Do you use your language in spite of these difficulties? Still? Okay, we often wonder if our accent is correct. Do I stress words correctly? Is the intonation okay within the sentence? Look at these two sentences. Woman without her man is nothing. Woman without her man is nothing. It's just about the intonation. It's just about the emphasis put on the specific place within the sentence. That means that actually sound layer in a language is really underestimated, because sound carries the meaning, as you can see. Another layer of a language is the syntax layer. Syntax is the grammar, and there is this never-ending story of this fight between good and evil, accuracy and fluency. Fluency being the good, being something to which we aspire. Actually, this is the vicious circle of grammar, because the more accurate we try to be, the less fluent we become. Have you ever encountered such situations that you have this self-monitor, you try to be really accurate, you try to do something in present simple or past simple, and okay, just go back, I did something wrong, and then you just stuck. It happens to all of us. Look at these sentences, they have some mistakes, but yet I bet you understand the meaning perfectly, because the communication is not disturbed. Actually, the research says that native speakers of language, yes, the ones of whom we are often afraid, and we often avoid speaking to them because we expect them to see every single mistake we commit. And yet it's not true, because the research says that they actually don't pay attention to any grammatical mistakes, which only proves that actually fluency is our aim, and we should find the balance between the two. Okay, what is brunch? Nothing else than the merger of two words, two meanings actually. Breakfast and lunch, we all know that word. And the meaning is the semantics. This is the other level of the language. So, imagine a situation in which this semantic level has some hidden agenda here. Imagine a situation in a corporation, in which a French guy enters the room. You have this business meeting, there are people, and he goes, okay, I'm sorry for being retarded. okay? Because retard in French means late. This is the false friend, and this is the meaning layer of a language, yes? We may have different words, they may have different forms, they may have the same forms, they may be pronounced the same, but actually they may mean something totally different, and the other way around. There are languages, for example, African languages, in which there is no such a concept like more than 6 names for colors. And yet the people in using these languages actually see as many colors as we can, because the perception is the same. And there are still languages which don't have all the names for all the shapes that exist in the world. And yet the users of these languages, do you think they don't know these shapes? They can touch them as us and do feel them and see them. I wanted to tell you that a very similar situation on the semantic level occurs if it comes to perception of ourselves and by other people, because if you incorporate some German words into your speech, you sound more strict. People perceive you as being more self-confident. I bet you have some experience with the German language, especially at the university here. If you use Romance languages, you are said to be more seductive. For example, French words or Italian words. It is proven by research, it's not a stereotype. Latin-based words, if we use them, we may be perceived by the majority of our interlocutors but as more intellectual or pseudo-intellectual to some degree, maybe, especially if we use too many different prefixes, suffixes like quasi, pseudo, etc. And Asian languages are said, according to some research, are said to add some exoticism to what we say. There was a situation in which an English-speaking teacher went to Japan, and she was teaching Japanese-speaking learners of English. So it took her several years to gather some data, out of which she figured out that actually Japanese learners are much more self-conscious. They are not that confident. They feel they don't speak English that well as they should. In contrast to other speakers of English, whose native tongue was different. And what was surprising was that there was no correlation whatsoever between the level of command of these Japanese learners, the level of command of English, so their level actually, and the level of command of other speakers of other languages, also learners of English. So it only can show how different people of different nationalities can perceive learning different languages. There is also this topic relativity that says, this is the theory that says, according to research of course, that we behave differently when we choose different topics between the languages. For example, when an introverted person whose native language is Polish doesn't like to share their emotions in this language, yet become more extroverted in another language. So this is quite an interesting psychological phenomenon. Okay, so taking into account the factors that I have presented, logically speaking, there is the last, maybe not the least important, maybe even the most important layer of a language. And this is the psychological level, because according to some research, it is scientifically proven that when we use another language, we develop another persona in this language. it can take many forms. It is just adjusting to some different linguistic environments, some different linguistic contexts and situations. And what it means that you can actually behave as an exaggerated form of your own self, or remain the same as you are in your native language, or just feel more inhibited, feel less fear, feel less confident, more self-conscious, more you observe yourself more. So then you don't have that confidence. Well, thinking about that, I reminded myself of some words that a wise man once said, that every time I look at the birds and at their wings, I wonder why they stay in the same place when they are designed to travel around the world. And then I ask myself the same question. Maybe we don't have wings as people, but the truth is, wings can be like language, because language is our tool, and we can communicate by that. For me, there are 4 types of speakers that remind me of 4 types of birds. The first one is the pigeon, and the pigeon-hearted pigeon may seem quite funny, but actually he doesn't like to take risk. The pigeon is the type that avoids risk, and he will fly only several meters high so that it won't take any risk, it won't encounter any dangers. Maybe it would be nice to fly high in the sky and feel really great, but on the other hand, he likes to feel safe, just like the pigeon type of speaker. Have you ever been in a situation when you have the language resources and yet you didn't use them because you were scared that you lack sufficient vocabulary, sufficient grammar, and sufficient level of English or level of any other language, and you avoided certain topics, certain conversations, certain people? I bet you have. The other person, the other type, is procrastinating J. Okay, the world lies at my feet, said the J, but the only thing I need is the right moment to start, yeah? Because I know that I have great potential, I'm wise, my life will be great, I can fly where I want, but on the other hand, I need this moment, and I need something to scare me, thrill me, I don't know, and motivate me, do something to me, so then I will begin. And how many times have you actually been such perfectionists that you postpone the work, postpone the talking, and involving yourself in some situations, some language situations, because you felt you are not yet ready? Okay. The point is, you will never be ready, because there are no people who actually achieved the full of language. Like, even native speakers of any language have never actually discovered all of the language. And another type is this task-oriented woodpecker. He likes to work within some routine. He knows what to do. He is totally focused on what he's doing right now. He's the here and now thing. And maybe he doesn't have any big goals and he doesn't think big, but at least he's safe and he's doing what he can. His intentions are what he's capable of. And actually, the woodpecker type of speaker is the one who operates within his vocabulary, within his language he already knows. The newly learned resources are not for him, because why bother to learn any new language, any new vocabulary, or any new grammar when you have your own resources, when they work, they have been working for years. So I have my strategies, they are just, I've been working on them for much time, and they are okay. Why bother? Yes? So, the last type is the almighty ego. The fun seeker, adventure lover, and everything which is connected with risk-taking. The end justifies the means, in short. The world is not enough. If I achieve the world, I will look for something bigger. And the ego type of speaker is the one who doesn't feel any problems in communicating what he wants, in conveying the meaning. He will communicate whatever he wants, because even if he doesn't have the resources, he will paraphrase, he will just invent new words, he will just say it using his hands, he will do some facial expressions, and he will just achieve the aim of the communication. If he forgets how to tell you about the art gallery, he will just name it a picture place, and anything like that. So, do you recognize yourself among these types? Or at least among some features of them? Because all of these types have one thing in common: not wings. And I would like you to think about this and either use it or lose it. Thank you very much.